No, ladies and gentlemen, I have been. Oh, I'm plugged in. I keep forgetting to plug my headset in. I have been inundated with people constantly begging me to make commentary because my commentary is so valued. Three people have contacted me and said, please give us your wisdom on the current political climate. Well, surprise, surprise. I'll satisfy all three of my watchers. Donald Trump appears to be working for BB. Well, fancy that. Who would have guessed? God. Anyway, you're suckers for a pretty face because I've never seen over 1,000 views in less than 24 hours. Afghan girl exposes Israeli spying. Kieran Javid, thank you, Kieran. Stick a pretty face or a pussy cat. It could be the same thing. And lo and behold, get a lot of views. Hopefully, I'm going to be working with Kieran and yeah, like Syria girl. We're gonna have Afghan girl. Yeah, I'd love to have a chat with Syria girl. I've been conversing a little bit with her on Twitter, and we're going to do some sort of show. A lot of things are up in the air. Still waiting to hear back from lawyers. I'll see what's going on. I have to get out of this hotel and get somewhere cheaper. Anyway, commentary. Surprise, surprise, Israel rules. How do they do it? If I hear one more person say, why, Brendan? Why? I hear my acting skills coming in. Why? Netanyahu, he gets caught, he steps on his dick, and he just gets away with it. He just keeps on keeping on. The Jewish neocons, the Likudniks, nothing seems to stop them. Why? How? And I say, well, actually, I know a little bit about this. It's called Operation Talpiot. Operation Talpiot. Talpiot. That's how they fucking rule. But who listens to little old me? Hey, that rhymes. I just made that up right there and then. That was totally unrehearsed. So, if we go to my little blog and type in Israel greatest spy machine ever. I hate the way they've set the blogs up. Greatest spy machine of all time. I got really good results from all sorts of politicians for this little post. To understand globalist Zionist power and how it rules, look how politically correct I am. Globalist Zionist power. I'm learning. And how it rules from Israel, you must understand these words. Operation Talpiot. Talpiot. And the Technion. And you will have the secret to Israel's success. Remember, Israel is simply the military policing camp of the city of London. All right, bankers in Frankfurt and Zurich. All right, that's their arm. And some would argue that Netanyahu is the 14-year-old kid. They gave him the keys to the 700 horsepower Corvette Sledgehammer twin turbo 454, and they gave him the keys to the gun cabinet, and he's not given them back. He said thanks, and they said I don't even think they've got control of him personally. But anyway, he's got the keys to the gun cabinet, and he's saying thank you very much. Hey, thanks for that Intel chip fabrication factory. So I put Australian national security issue, Israeli spying, but it's really a world issue. So this is how they rule. This is how they get caught. Look, in the little movie Snowden, I did a little post, which they are constantly trying to copyright. And they kill switched.
Help us spy on the Japanese population. Dams, hospitals.
You're watching? Wait a minute. Here we go.
We didn't stop there, 'cause once we owned their communication system, we started going after their physical infrastructure.
Tell us, Eddie.
We slipped these little sleeper programs into power grids, dams, hospitals.
Yes.
The idea was,
yes,
the day came when Japan was no longer an ally, it'd be lights out.
Lights out. That's everyone. Lights out. Talpiot.
And it wasn't just the Japanese. We were planning malware in Mexico, Germany, Brazil, Austria.
Yes.
I mean, China, I can understand, or Russia, or Iran, Venezuela, okay, but Austria?
Yeah, we all know
You're
why.
also being
So there you go. Eddie's told you. He just didn't mention Israel because Edwin is prone not to mention the name Israel. In fact, didn't Dr. David Duke tell us that he'd actually released a statement whereby he said, out of sensitivity to Jewish communities around the world, they weren't releasing information on Israel, him and Julian Assange. So anyway, watch that clip. Kill switches in countries core. What they're not saying is Israel's got control of it all. All of it. All of it. Phil Giraldi has says it. Watch this. Former CIA counterintelligence officer Phil Giraldi. Israel steals
Congress also
technology.
approved on Wednesday, as part of the United States-Israel Strategic Partnership Act, by a vote of 410 to 1, an Israeli exemption from the reciprocity mandated by the so-called visa waiver program. Israelis will be able to travel freely to the United States, while their government will be allowed to refuse entry to American citizens. Mitt Romney, it has corrupted our Congress. Its head of government publicly rebukes our own head of state. Government ministers insult and ridicule John Kerry.
Go Phil.
And its intelligence officers actually provide alarmist and inaccurate private briefings for American senators on Capitol Hill.
Go. Phil Giraldi.
I also would not
Good Catholic boy, I might add. Good Catholic boy.
doubt that Israel, accustomed to behaving with impunity towards its alleged friend and patron in Washington, might manufacture a pretext to draw the U.S. into a new conflict.
No. Would they? Would they manufacture something to get the US into a conflict? Would they? Nah. Thank you, Phil. Sorry, I'm being a dick. I'm just so fucking sick of it. Why, Brendan? How does Israel do it? Operation Talpiot. How do they I just told you, Operation Talpiot. Why? I just told you, Operation Talpiot.
Something reminiscent of the Lavon affair in Alexandria, Egypt in 1954, or the false flag attack on the USS Liberty in 1967.
Yes, Phil.
Israel currently strongly supports using force to intervene in Syria.
No. But the country of peace and love, run by Judaism, Orthodox Jew following rabbis, the religion of peace and love, the country of peace and love, would do that. I don't believe it. This is C-SPAN, ladies and gentlemen. You better watch this video. You should download it. Put it everywhere. Phil Giraldi.
A proposition that is opposed overwhelmingly by the American public. In short, Israel has no reluctance to use its enormous political and media clout in the U.S. to pressure successive administrations to conform to its own foreign and security policy views.
Really? I can't believe it. I'm in shock.
One other very good reason why Israel should not receive billions of dollars in military assistance annually is its persistent espionage against the United States.
Espionage? But the United States is a friend. Lord have mercy. Tell us more, Phil.
Grant Smith has described how Friends of Israel stole enriched uranium from a Pennsylvania refinery to create a nuclear arsenal. More recently, we have learned how Arnon Milchan, a Hollywood producer born in Israel, arranged for the illegal purchase of 800 nuclear triggers. Milchan picked up an Oscar last Sunday without any interference from the FBI.
Please watch this entire video. It's on my. It's around, but it's also on my channel list. And by the way, they're copyright slapping 5 new copyrights. They're trying to get rid of my channel, so please download my videos and upload other places. So, former CIA counterintelligence Phil Giraldi, Israel steals technology. Watch that whole video, please. It's only 9 minutes. So, do you understand? Edward Snowden, kill switches. Why does Israel get away with this? Why, we say? Why? Israel, the greatest spy machine of all time. The guy Media Hordes, he's a New Zealand guy, has done some posts. So people are starting to pick this up. You've got to understand the major players have got to start saying Operation Talpiot. It's a specific word and it's a specific operation. So in this blog post, you will learn how Israel planned over 40 years ago to dominate the high technology communication sector. This is a long-term plan. They're always planning long-term. And around the same time, they also planned that the end of the Soviet Union was going to come, and they were going to replace it with radical Islam. And they got the Saudis, the Wahhabis, Salafists to start funding these madrasas all over the world. Some of the Islamic colleges too don't behave too nicely, I might add. So I'm a critic of Islam. I'm also a critic of Christianity too. All right, but they started funding this radical Islam because that was going to be the new. Did they plan this 40 years ahead? All right, and also in the 70s they ramped up the Holocaust shit. Okay, it was a plan. They start those wheels spinning. Operation Talpiot was a major core part of that to dominate the high technology sector. They literally dominate everything now. One day Julian Assange and Edward Snowden might mention. Oh, and now my page is locked up. Come on now. Come on, you can do it. I must have got a bit excited. How this plan was titled Operation Talpiot. How Israel dominates databases of all kinds, from banking to medical to policing to NSA subcontractors to government encrypted communications to video surveillance systems for Class A infrastructure. Okay, banking as well, telecommunications, Amdocs, Varian, P-Tech. How Israel and Jewish power, the Sainim, when you put it all together, the Sainim or helper, who assist Israeli intelligence wherever they are, wherever Jews live and work, anywhere in the world, giving access to all sorts of public and private sensitive locations. So you've got all these American Jews training up in the Israeli Defense Force, doing those huge 10-year Talpiot courses. And they're just coming back and working with you. You don't even know. Their name's Bill Smith. You have no idea. Major security risk. And how Israel is setting up high technology cooperation schools under the Technion, their premier research facility. This cooperation is used. Sandra Trowan, I've done that previous video about that Operation Talpiot. They've stuck ridiculous conditions. People said, we're in jail. No, they stuck me under bail conditions for over 2 years. I had to skip bail. They just kept putting me back under the bail conditions. I couldn't get out of it. So I took off. I'm on the run now with a warrant for my arrest. They initially said I couldn't possess technology. You know, and then you combine it with their holy books. Look at what they do. It's in their holy books. There's Rabbi Evadia Yosef, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, will you stop locking up? There's Rabbi Evadia Yosef. You know, religion's got nothing to do with Israel. It's Zionism. No, it's everything to do with religion. There he is with Netanyahu's. If I want to ascend to Israel, make Aliyah, I've got to go see an Orthodox rabbi. Halakha, Jewish religious law, to move there. Okay, it's not going to cooperate. So the forever, all right, it is Rabbi Evadia Yosef on Arab Muslims. It is forbidden to be merciful to them. You must send missiles to them and annihilate them. They are evil and damnable. That's their top religious leadership. Imagine if the Catholics said that. People have said it's irrelevant, they're all bad. No, if the Catholic Pope said that, it would be worldwide news every day for the next 10 years. All right, and it comes out of their books, the Talmud and the Old Testament. Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling. Suckling, newborn baby on the breast, kill it. Oxen, sheep, camel, and ass. That's one of hundreds. Book of Deuteronomy, Book of Joshua, the Old Testament. That's the good book. Wait till you get in the Talmud, Shulchan Aruch, and Zohar. Okay, that's the ideology feeding this new first world high technology state. Imagine you've got this ideology, this crazy genetic supremacist ideology with its own state, which has full control over the world's high technology sector. Hey man, what could possibly happen? Dear fucking God. And they have their basic theology is that Mashiach, their military messiah, cannot return until Amalek is wiped from the face of the earth. Who's Amalek? That's us. Anyone who gets in their way. That is their words. That's their philosophy and ideology. God help us. So you've got to put all that together. Operation Talpiot, Mike Rivera, Christopher Bolin, all you big players with your millions of views, making your money. Come on, people. So that Israel hosts federal government's first innovation landing pad for Australian entrepreneurs. They're putting them in all over the world. They've got them in China, for God's sake. In China. All right, they're putting them in China. They've completely kill switched China. China's doing nothing. China is Israel's bitch. Israel has been in China for a long time. Do you know the Iraqi Jews, the Sassoon family? Big banking family. You've never heard of them. They started up China, modern day China. East India Trading Company, all funded by Jewish bankers, financiers. I mean, you haven't even heard of the Sassoon family. Think about it. They are running China. Chabad Lubavitch all through there. Sidney Rittenberg. Did you know that? Sidney Rittenberg, the man who stayed behind. All right, he was an American Jew, a linguist for American military intelligence. He was Mao's right-hand man. Man, let me find, this is important. You've got to watch this other article as well. Let's put terrified of Israel. Let's get my post. This is my number one post. Fuck. Why are countries so terrified of Israel? Why are countries so terrified of Israel? Come up. Stupid. Here we go. Go to this post. Why are countries so terrified of Israel? I'll lay it out for you. This formed part of an actual court document. Before my trial in 2011, I actually said, you are a Jewish temple, you cannot try me. This is a very well done. The chief judge, Martino, Catholic, they called for me to have a mental health assessment that day. That was in January 2011, 2 weeks before the trial. I said, you cannot try me, you're a Jewish temple. I proved it. in a document. First person in the planet to ever do this in a major criminal case in a district court. And Justin Wally, the senior prosecutor, said, Your Honour, he needs a mental health assessment. I stood up and said, hey, Justin, you're a pedophile. You're a well-known pedophile. You want to sling mud, prick? All right? Chief Judge Martino said, sit down, Mr. O'Connell, blah, blah, blah. And I said, Your Honour, you haven't even read it. And he stood there, and this is how he went, no, I've read it, every word. They loved it. They were circulating it through all the legal stuff. It's this. This forms the basis of this post. That's the Perth District Court with their big pyramid on the front. It's the first court in the world, besides the Israeli Supreme Court building, to actually publicly display a giant pyramid on the front, telling you who's running it, all right? Not the Royal Seal. Lock up, yeah, go on, lock up. There's the Israeli Supreme Court building, and I had Rabbi David Freilich on the stand. All you revisionists, my trial was incredible. No one even talks about it. You know, go and look at this post, and as you go down, you will find Covent Gardens, Hadash el Kadone, Kadosh el Adonai, Holy for Yahweh. Yeah, it's just a Freemason building. What's that got to do with Judaism? All right, wage war by deception, Catholic Church, the sworn enemy of Freemasonry and Jewish power. You know, the one you want to destroy, who you say runs the world. All those documents from the Soviet Union, Jews of the greasiest types are running the revolution in Russia. All that stuff. Go and look at it. Zionism versus Bolshevism. And as we go down, sorry, I should be better organised. You know, Kennedy gets up. We are opposed to secret societies, secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. It wasn't just about communist Russia. This was about Freemasonry and secret societies. That was incredible. That's another Catholic. Well, you want to destroy the damn Catholic Church, you fools. Yes, it's been corrupted. Yes, it's full of Freemasons and friggin' Jewish arseholes. And they need to be gotten out. You try and destroy the Catholic Church, you will destroy the bulwark that is fought against. Don't even start me. So many Catholics have given their all for this fight. You want to remember that. Catholic president, not perfect, but let me tell you, who's done more? And they killed him. Now look at this. American Jews who are also members of the Communist Party spying on America. From left to right, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, the spying leaders, executed at Sing Sing prison. David Greenglass, scientist of Los Alamos. Theodore Horsberg, scientist of Los Alamos. Harry Gold, courier for the group to their Soviet handler. Some of us have memories. They passed the USA secret assistance to the atom bomb to the Jewish communist-controlled Soviet Union after the Second World War. Same people gave the same stuff to Israel itself. That's why they killed Kennedy, in part. There's Sidney Rittenberg hanging with Mao, sworn enemies. Mao was put up there by American military intelligence, run by guess who? Look at this, Chairman Mao hanging with Sidney Rittenberg. There's Sidney Rittenberg now, today, still hanging in China, doing business. There's Sir Martin Sorrell, the most powerful advertising man in the world, Jewish. He hangs with Chabad Lubavitch. Oh, religion's got nothing to do with it, Brendan. Religion's got nothing to do with it. These people are hanging around the most powerful rabbinic elite of the world. And there's Sidney Rittenberg in his old age. Rittenberg, this prick, right, responsible. Did your pappy die in the Korean War? Well, that's the little prick, the little American Jewish prick that helped put that man in power, the communist Chinese, right there. And he's living in California. I'd be a little bit upset about that. And he's hanging with Sir Martin Sorrell, Henry Kissinger and associates. They're all together. Have a look at this. All happily meeting with Mao. Who might this be, ladies and gentlemen? It's Mao Zedong with Israel Epstein, first left, Anna Louise Strong, third left, Frank Coe, second right, there, and Solomon Shlomo Adler, first right. All Jews, all former members of Roosevelt's war cabinet in 1949. There they are again, Jews again. Or people who identify as Jewish again. What's going on? Heaven forbid. There's our, nice lady, Chief Judge of the District Court, partly through my case, Antoinette Kennedy, wearing her beautiful red. And in the interview she says, it's simply as Chairman Mao said, women hold up half the sky. She's a bit of a feminist, our lovely Catholic former Chief Judge. Naughty, very snappy dresser, Chief Judge Antoinette Kennedy. Look, she's very likeable. She's well liked for her thing, but I could tell you a few stories about Antoinette Kennedy and a few violations of rules of court. Anyway, there you go. There's the members of the Silver Master Spy Ring. Oh, surprise, 90% identify as Jewish. But don't shh. Zionists, I mean. Okay. Look at this. What about Jews and banking? Isn't that an old anti-Semitic conspiracy theory? Just the whole thing. Wall Street, City of London. All the same. Swiss bank, all the same. Filled with them. And a lot of Iranians in there too, I might add. What has it taken? So I don't need the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, which is clearly a forgery. Look, compare Machiavelli, the Prince, his book The Prince. They have lifted entire sections of Machiavelli the Prince and put it in the protocols. So it's clearly a forgery. It's all true, but it's clearly a forgery. Look, there's no argument it is a forgery. Probably a Russian intelligence at the time under the Tsar to warn people. But I'm sorry, dudes, whole sections have been lifted directly from Machiavelli the Prince. It is not an original work. It's a copy, but it's true. But I've got the Old Testament. Before I even get into their really crappy books, I've got the Old Testament, the Tanakh, the Jewish Old Testament. Look at this, Deuteronomy 28:12. You will lend to many nations, but will borrow from none. The Lord will make you the head, not the tail. If you pay attention to the commands of the Lord your God that I give you this day and carefully follow them, you will always be at the top, never at the bottom. You will lend to many nations and borrow from none. That's amazing. That's amazing. Get the book Judaism Discovered by Michael Hoffman. They went crazy when I put that book up in the court. They went They ended the trial. I was meant to get back up and quote from it about the Russian parliament being given a 5,000 member signature from the Russian elite saying you've got to make the Shulchan Aruch racist hate literature. So don't forget, that's not just the Talmud. The Shulchan Aruch, the final authority of the rabbis. Don't forget that book. That's a biggie. And of course, books of Zohar, Jewish mysticism. They're nuts. That kills them, man. They go crazy when you start mentioning that. You know, there's all the Jews advising presidents, David Oram, Emmanuel, or Chicago. You know, you've got Ariel Sharon saying, I want to tell you something very clear. Don't worry about American pressure on Israel. We, the Jewish people, control America, and the Americans know it. Well, how do they control it? Oh, Operation Talpiot. All right, think this guy, Rad Group, Zohar Zissapel. All these websites were taken down the moment I publicized them. They were all removed. You will not find them anywhere. And if you want a good video too, you really want to watch this one. This is a good video, Tehran conference. Watch this video. I'm actually in Tehran. I was meant to do, and this is pretty big. I had to fight for 3 weeks. I said, if you do not do conferences on Israeli intelligence activity in Talpiot, I had to threaten. If you will not do lectures and conferences and an advertising marketing campaign on this issue, I will walk and I will embarrass the Iranian state. I threatened that. Finally, they said, okay, you can work with the Persian Gulf Study Center, who are government analysts, and you can organize a conference. That's pretty amazing. I made initial contact with Dr. Alan Sabrowski. He was very interested. And in the end, I just had to leave. I couldn't stand it any longer. Someone's making a professional level documentary about it as we speak. Watch that one, Tehran conference. There's a lot of interesting information in there. You will see Zohar Zissapel in there. It's a good intro.
9/11 was a Mossad operation. I contacts at the Army War College, at the Headquarters Marine Corps, and I've made it absolutely clear in both cases that it is 100% certain that 9/11 was a Mossad operation.
No way.
I knew that the Israelis would be involved because they had...
That's Dr. Steve Pachenik, amazing.
Chertoff, who should have been indicted because he had double citizenship here and in Israel, and was in charge of Homeland Security along with Richard Pearl and others who his loyalty
trying to hack my
have
computer
never
as we
been
speak.
to the United States. Unfortunately, these American Jews whose loyalty is to Israel have never served the American government, never been in the American military, but I'm more than happy to serve the Israeli military.
And what Americans need to understand, they did it.
Operation Talpiot.
They did it. And if they do understand that, Israel's going to disappear. Israel will flat ass disappear from this earth. You know, I have a dream, as Martin Luther King Jr. once said, you know, and my dream is that the 5th and 6th U.S. fleets take Israel and cream it.
So I'm in my little Tehran apartment.
From Tehran, well, not really live, but you know what I mean. It
That
makes
was a
it
view
sound
from the
more
apartment.
exciting. The date is the 23rd of January 2017. It's a Monday. I just want to make a...
There's the Israeli ambassador come out against me
I
right there.
recognize your commitment to the well-being
I
of...
mean, man, thank God a few people are coming. We get it, Brandon. This is incredible. I said, yeah, I know. And I said, we've never heard of you. Why have we never heard of you? I don't know. Ask Mike Rivero. Ask all the big... No one wants to interview me, man. Because I won't play the game. I'm not in the circle jerk. I'm not in the circle jerk. All right? And I criticise Iran, so, you know, I'm not on press. I refuse to go on press there.
the people of Israel.
What? Jet propulsion? Raided by the police and charged with
Look at this.
offending him?
When Steve Lieblich, Jewish community leader, called him an Israeli spy, got raided. Have a look.
Obviously, we've got a process that we've got to go through. Okay?
What? Jet propulsion laboratory?
Brendan, we've got a process that we need to do. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to.
So I gather you've worked it out a bit somewhere along the line there. Yeah, little Stanley Keyser, he's still running around.
Taking my photo without permission. You didn't engage us, you didn't come shake our hand.
How dare you say...
You are a racist Jew. Tell us about Hannah Kasher and how the Israeli academic who says that women and children are fair game in the fight against the Palestinians.
That is a really good quote. Michael Hoffman does a lot about this. So this is how their secular academics are quoting from the holy books. Oh, it's got nothing to do with religion, people keep saying. It's got nothing to do with religion. It's got everything to do with religion. They quote from that stuff all the time. Do you remember the Al Jazeera 4-part series about spying and infiltrating young friends of Labour, friends of Israel and the Labour Party? That 4-part brilliant series. And they've actually got the guy from AIPAC speaking in England. He's an Israeli representative from the Foreign Ministry saying, biblically, it's our land, biblically. All right? They constantly quote from their religious stuff. We've got to get rid of this Zionist crap.
The world opened its most advanced
Watch this.
industry. Away from SodaStream making.
Handing out these things, okay?
They've got to go after BDS. They've got to go after the high technology sector. And they're not. What, SodaStream makers and fruit. Yeah, well, that'll bring the Israeli state down.
And it's disgusting.
You belong
just
to
told
a
us that all
racist,
Jewish
homicidal
people are
organisation.
racist, and that...
Did that offend them? Of course it wasn't that. It was about the Israeli high technology contracts and the BDS movement. That the BDS movement would move away from SodaStream makers and fruit and start talking about the Israeli high technology industry and boycotting, including the fact that, did you even know this, that in 2006, Intel, the largest, most advanced chip fabricator in the world, opened its most advanced research and development factory outside the United States.
All of this stuff you're seeing is stolen off DARPA. It's stolen out of the United States. Sandra Trowan, I've done a previous video just yesterday on this. She made a complaint to Jet Propulsion Laboratories. That's why the police raided me, looking for stuff on Jet Propulsion Laboratories. Sandra Trowan, another Catholic. Catholics, yeah, go Catholics. The evil Catholics.
States in Israel. And some are saying it's actually the most advanced research and development
It is the
facility,
most advanced.
even outstripping the US version.
Now, think of the world's great high-tech rivals to California's Silicon Valley. You might come up with India, perhaps China, even Britain. But now Israel is laying claim to be the new Silicon Valley, spending vast amounts of money.
Vast amounts. No. Where do you think Dov Zakheim and the $3 trillion went? Where do you think it went? I wonder what will it take if I was an American taxpayer? I'd be furious. I'd be furious. They had in Cleveland with lead in your water. And they're taking all your stuff and building up a foreign country who hates you and you support them. You effing Christian Zionist fucks. That's what you are. You disgust me. God is so going to punish you for what you're doing. It says explicitly in the Bible, there be those that say they are Jews, they are not. They are of the synagogue of Satan. Not the naughty synagogue, the synagogue of Satan. Sorry to get all biblical on you, but it just drives me insane. They are the enemies of Christ. And that's fine. I don't care if you hate Jesus. What I care about is then you demand that Christians give you lots of money and support you. That is an insult. Absolute insult.
Few things changed despite so many public outcries and so much public information becoming open to us all now. Israel still seems to just plug along as if nothing's happened. And a lot of this is because they have the politicians, they have the military contractors under their control. Because Israel has all of its equipment, its hardware and its software embedded into the entire system. So when I hear the word NSA, I just think Israel. Did you know that Rabbi Dov Zakheim is the 2IC, the second in charge of Booz Allen Hamilton? That's the company.
He's been moved on to a private think tank now. Someone in
private subcontractor for the NSA from which Edward Snowden came. So what you've got now is this privatisation of the intelligence network in the United States, and they're shifting into subcontractors. And they've got all these Israeli firsters and these graduates from such places as the Technion. Remember this word, the Technion. This is an Israeli military intelligence operation where they train the best and brightest from the Israeli military to become the top level hardware and software developers in the world.
Here's Zohar Zisapel. You've got to go this guy. This guy. He's the granddad.
Your background is rather unusual. You spent 12 years in the Israel Defense Forces in various development
this guy,
functions.
Right here.
My question is this.
Dracula.
A lot of Israeli startups come from...
Zohar Zisapel. Zisapel. This is the guy. Polish origins. Another Pole. Another Semite.
People who served in the IDF, especially in technology units.
Now watch this. This guy's actually quite good. He's the PR man for the Technion. I sort of like him. I watched a lot of his stuff. You can just see he's just a simple guy. He thinks it's pretty cool. But you watch this Zohar Zisapel get very uncomfortable. But, oh, no, it's not the military. Forget about the military. Because they don't want to remind you, yeah, we're all Israeli military intelligence.
How do you see the role of IDF in fostering entrepreneurship and start?
See, too, you just employed a graduate and they're pilfering your database right now. Oh, yeah. This is a major national... If you're a private company, corporation... Israel's stealing everything because they're in your IT departments. I first got onto Rad Group because I met a guy in a battery world shop and we got onto this subject somehow. And he said, "Oh, I was an IT wholesaler. I had people from not the Australian Wheat Board, Cooperative Bulk Handling, CBH, a huge company in Australia, and they're a sister company to the Australian Wheat Board, and they're a quasi-government private company." And they were selling all the wheat to Iraq, and a big scandal broke, and Australia lost the contract with the Iraqi wheat, and it was given to American companies. And he mentioned that he bought the routers for CBH, Cooperative Bulk Handling, from Israel, Rad Group. Do you understand? You have bought compromised equipment en masse, and you've got it in your corporations, and you're employing. Leon Wen, the Australian Jewish guy who I first exposed to do with the Collins-class submarine, is now working at BHP Billiton in their IT department. BHP Billiton is the largest miner in the world, China's #1 target. And you've got a graduate of the Technion. It's madness. Anyway, sound like Alex Jones. I've got to finish up pretty quick now.
Startups, especially in light of your own experience.
I don't see any goal. The IDF is for fighting, for intelligence. It's not for startups.
Oh, yes, you are.
But you gathered useful experience, did you not, in your own work? You won the Israel Defense Prize.
See, I love this guy. He's so innocent. He's just asking questions. This guy's going, don't mention that.
Well, when I got out of the Technion, the only place to work was in the defense industry. So that's what I did.
What crap, the only place to work. It's built for the defense industry. That's what it's for.
And this is why you see so many engineers coming from the defense industry, because all of us were starting there back in the 60s or the 70s.
Oh, yep.
His company has got every database for every banking, financial institution, you name it. High technology encryption systems for government, encrypted VoIP for government, you name it. Remember Variant? Fox News did a 4-part series on Variant. Remember this?
Now Fox News has learned some U.S. investigators believe that there is...
Department Rodden Jarman is an... Remember Kay Griggs and her statement.
This is so important now. Kay Griggs, Psychological Warfare Operations, wife of George Griggs, who ran the NATO Marine Corps Psychological Warfare Operations. I've met a couple of people who are pretty nasty, never heard of her. I couldn't believe it. You've got to watch this 7-hour documentary. As she says, they're all closet deviates, closet homosexuals, closet bisexuals, child molesters. She goes into it. 7-hour interview. Kay Griggs talks. You must watch it. It's incredible. The WA police were raving about it. They couldn't believe this woman. You've got to watch her stuff. And what you're seeing in Syria now with the sarin gas attacks, what you're seeing in Stockholm now with all this stuff, that is the NATO Israeli Psychological Warfare Operations Department being very busy, keeping you distracted. Squirrel, squirrel. But you're not talking about the Technion. Listen, if the naughty person is coming in and hitting a granny in the head, that's Israel, all right? I can sit there all day and go, did you see that guy hit that granny in the head? And I can just keep ranting about it. People say, oh, how do they get away with it? I keep telling you, Operation Talpiot. They've got everyone by the balls. They run all the drugs, do all the drug dealing, they run all the prostitutes, Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, that's how they've got everyone under their control. You saw Phil Giraldi earlier. We'll finish up with Kay.
You know, military intelligence in the United States, the head of the computer ID department, Rodden Jarman, is an anarchist Jew who met his wife in a kibbutz in Israel. The infiltration is total. This is the issue we want to discuss at a conference here in Tehran, and I'm going to have at least an instigatory role in getting that conference happening. I won't be a main organiser, but I'm going to instigate it. I've already had a quick chat with Dr. Alan Sabrowski on Facebook.
Dr. Sabrowski is also an editor at Veterans Today.
Okay. And I actually got out on...
videos I dropped in.
I got, when Dr. Alan Sabrowski did the interview with Mark Glenn of The Ugly Truth, this is what I mean. I've done some major firsts, man. No one's heard of me. People say, we've never heard of you. I got out on the street and started approaching the media This is what I mean. I get out on the fucking street, man, away from Facebook. You've got just 30% Facebook, 70% the street. We're going to work on that soon. A couple of guys in Perth are going to hit the streets. Look what I did. I did this. And I'm trying to encourage you. I'm not bragging. I'm trying to encourage you. All right, I get out on the fucking street. That's why they went after me. And that police said they don't want you on the street, Brendan.
Dr. Alan Zabrowski interview. Have a watch.
Street activism 101. This was in the middle of my trial. I did this, leading up to my trial. They rearrested me and were going to charge me again because I criticised Israel, vilified Israel with the truth. They said it's the Jewish state. I'll get you the quotes from the transcript. I haven't even begun. There's a documentary being done as we speak.
Hey, good, how you doing? It is 9:44 a.m. Thursday. War colleges said that Israel did 9/11.
They did 9/11. They did it. I have had long conversations over the past 2 weeks with contacts at the Army War College, at Headquarters Marine Corps, and I've made it absolutely clear in both cases that it is 100% certain that 9/11 was a Mossad operation.
Not Muslim terrorists, and also called for Israel to be wiped off the map.
And what Americans need to understand is they did it. They did it. And if they do understand that, Israel's going to disappear. Israel will flat-ass disappear from this earth.
It's pretty heavy. No mainstream media reporting.
Now that is the ABC. It's like the BBC. That's the ABC local reporter. So I just approached him. You can do this. Get creative. Instead of sitting on your ass in front of Facebook.
Have to put that to our foreign desk.
So you're ABC guys?
Brendan?
Yeah, Brendan, yeah.
I might add, I am quite notorious in Perth now. It's my only claim to fame.
Oh, damn, I was hoping to Channel 9. I'll have to be nice to the ABC.
We try to be everyone's friend.
Yeah, I know.
This was the Thornley Tree Man.
What do you think about, what do you think about Dr. Alan Zabrowski, former head of the US Army War College, stating that he wants to wipe Israel off the map and Israel did 9/11? Sorry, I use this every opportunity I can.
No, don't have me on camera. I'm behind the scenes.
Oh, I know.
Hey,
This is the ABC again. This is Joanna Manar. She's one of the reporters. Pretty good reporter. They were getting a bit pissed off. They're going to see Kirsten Clohessy in a minute, the local two-boot stripper.
G'day, everyone. Hey, what do you think about Dr. Alan Zabrowski? Every chance I get in the media. He was the former director of studies of the US Army War College, and he's just said he wants to wipe Israel off the map, and Israel did 9/11. Any comment? No?
A bit busy, sorry.
A bit busy. Not even for US Army War College director. Stating that when the American public find out that Israel did 9/11, they would wipe it from the map and no one would give a rat's ass. That's not even important? No? No comment? Always wanted to ask that. But you know what happened when I published that video? I was immediately rearrested. These particular Israeli firsters.
In Britain.
Now this is so important, this video. You've got to go watch it. Al Jazeera have outdone themselves. I couldn't believe it. Al Jazeera. This is a British intelligence run thing. British intelligence are pissed at Israel.
Operation run by the secretive Ministry of Strategic Affairs.
They recruit mainly former intelligence officers. Its main task is to counter BDS worldwide.
They're scared of BDS,
Using an
man.
undercover reporter, Al Jazeera's investigative unit exposes Israel's clandestine activities in London, a city that's become a major battleground.
BDS campaign in many ways germinated in Britain.
You'll meet the people working to challenge BDS at every level of British politics.
Ah, okay, nice to meet you. We work really closely together, but like a lot of it's behind the scenes.
One of Israel's main targets is the Labour Party. For the first time, its leader is a champion of Palestinian civil rights.
I'd be very happy to see Jeremy Corbyn no longer leader of the Labour Party, for sure.
It's a covert action that penetrates the heart of Britain's democracy.
Watch this. He's now calling, we'll give you some names. He's a Mossad agent, he's an Israeli intelligence officer, and he's now telling we've got a list of politicians we'd really like you to take down. This is incredible. Now remember, they did it to me first. They brought out the Israeli ambassador and the Israeli deputy foreign minister against me before my trial. Incredible. So if you think this is incredible, I eclipse that. I'm sorry to bring up me again, but I don't know what else to do. I've got to get out of this. Follow my case. It's incredible. Few people are. There's going to be a top professional level documentaries being made as we speak. Thank you.
It is outrageous interference in British politics. It shouldn't be permitted.
It's a battle of ideas seeking to change not only how Israel's portrayed, but even how it is debated.
It's anti-Semitic. No, it's not. It's a trend.
Oh, the bells. Young friends of Israel.
You better wake up.
This is the video I was arrested for.
The world you live in is just a sugar-coated top. There is another world beneath it. The real world.
So can you hear those bells? Wonder who those bells are tolling for. That's a little bell tower they built recently here in Perth.
But less is known about the relationship between actually American police departments in Israel. Can you elaborate on that?
Seeking to intimidate me. All right. I'm taking on
what we're going
the
to do,
SAS.
Right, that's Detective Timothy Richard Painey. That man's implicated in the theft of 16 kilos of methamphetamine. They go from the drug squad to counter terrorism. They're all dodgy. The Santos case, Jamison Santos, it's going to the High Court, and it's about jurisdiction because the state police are taking federal cases and making them state. They're doing this because they want to control the drugs because they're selling it all. Painey, the guy arrested me, and there's another guy, Brandon Shortland, caught frolicking naked with 2 hookers in the bell tower pool high as a kite when he was in the drug squad. You can't make this shit up. That's what I had to get out of WA. That's how bad it is.
Campbell Barrett, many members of the State Security Unit are members of the Special Air Service. The gentleman behind me is tightening the cuff deliberately on my left hand.
Just keep the camera rolling.
He is tightening the cuff deliberately on my left hand.
We're going to outside.
This is about SAS Campbell Barrett, Leon Wind, Variant. Timothy, you told me that Variant does your local and national, your local police intercepts, an Israeli intelligence front.
Pop you in the car.
Yeah, I know you are, Tim. Fuck you, Tim.
And fuck you, Tim. Fuck you, Tim, indeed. Now, there's a background to that arrest. That was the second raid arrest. That was in November of 2009. I was originally raided in May. I had rung them and said, you have deleted all my footage of the Esperance bird die-off. In 2006-2007, there was a gigantic die-off, the biggest in the world, in Esperance on the south coast of Western Australia. I was there. They were spraying the freaking sky. There were no flies, there were no bees. They tried to blame it on lead. Now, that's another story. And they deleted all that footage, my unique footage, backup hard drive and laptop. I rang them and said, hey, you arsehole, you've deleted my stuff. Oh, it's nothing to do with me. Ring technology crime. Mark Rubich, Detective Mark Rubich. Oh, guess who Detective Mark? Another Jew. No worries. I ring, they don't answer. 5 hours later, boom, I'm raided. That's why they raided me. Charged me 5 more times. Oh, God, you got to get into my case, man. You got to get into my case.
An amazing series. Al Jazeera have outdone themselves. Of course.
Anyway.
According to him, first as a backseat operator in an F-15 jet, mainly...
Anyway, this was not meant to run this long, but you get the picture. So why does Israel rule? Why are we all... Oh, why? Look, here's Morris, little old Morris 108, Morris 108. Come on, Morris, say Operation Talpiot. You've got what? You get your 5, your 10,000 views, you're doing all right. You got your 20,000 subscribers. Get those words out of your mouth, Morris. Okay, we've got former CIA counter Phil Giraldi. You heard Phil talking, incredible stuff. Go and watch all Phil Giraldi stuff. You've got the digital Blackwater, all these private NSA companies now. Watch this one as well.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
And I'm Aaron Mate. Welcome to our listeners and viewers around the country and around the world. The U.S. government has begun the process of charging Edward Snowden with disclosing classified information after he leaked a trove of secret documents so far. His current whereabouts are unknown.
And then if that wasn't enough, has embroiled the US high-tech companies like Google, Yahoo, Skype, Facebook, etc. to extend that surveillance all across the world. And
I might add, they're all NSA companies. They're not working with the NSA. They are the NSA. They were built up by the security agencies. And I guarantee you, Talpiot, I guarantee if you dig a professional level, well-resourced reporter, investigator will find Talpiot in there. It was probably hatched in Israel, and they brought that back into the United States. So let's just finish up now. We've talked about, we control, the Americans know it. That was reported on the BBC and also in the New Statesman magazine. Sorry I'm all over the place, but look, read Genesis. Look, Judah, your brothers will praise you. Your hand will be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's sons will bow down to you. You are a lion's cub, O Judah. You return from the prey, my son. Like a lion he crouches and lies down. Like a lioness, who dares to rouse him? The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until it comes to whom it belongs, and the obedience of the nations is his. Okay, the scepter is earthly rule, will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet until it comes to whom it belongs, and the obedience of the nations is his. It's all in their religious books. They are following a biblical prophecy. Go and read the Old Testament. Fuck, I don't need the protocols of the inner levels of Zion. I've got the Jewish Old Testament, the Tanakh. All right, but that was balanced by the New Testament. Love, compassion, mercy, being an example for all the nations. They don't follow that, let me tell you. I've got major problems with the Jewish Old Testament, but I see it in a context. But the books of Zohar, Talmud, and Rook are just terrible. Anyhow, going on, look, all the Jewish organised crime, go and read these posts. It's my biggest post. Mr. Sin, Abe Saffron, before there was Jeffrey Epstein, we had Abe Saffron. He had all the politicians photographed. Israeli intelligence asset, I'm going to put the video up about him, Mr. Sin, so you can get the whole video. It's incredible. Bragging about how he had the entire political class under his control through his one-way mirrors and brothels. That's Abe Saffron, the number one Jewish man. He was importing heroin with Kerry Packer into the country. Our media mogul, Kerry Packer, Hetzer Frank Packer, pedophiles, all of them. All of them. Kay Griggs' interview. She says, my husband is not a Christian, he's an existentialist. Most of these guys are. Their God is the Brotherhood. It's very German. It has Masonic leanings. They're all Masons, the Brotherhood. They're the mob. The Marine Corps are the hitmen. They're mercenaries. They'll work for anybody. They're not Americans. They're not Christians. They're German existentialists. Now, what are they doing running our nation? Quote, they have more affinity for the state of Israel than they do our nation. They don't care about American citizens. Navy SEALs train with Israeli special forces. The Israelis kill people over here. It was an Israeli team that killed Kennedy. Kay Griggs talks. Please go to YouTube, download and get the full 4-part series. The Kay Griggs interviews. Get them before they go. Get them. They're all going to go. Victor Ostrowski, the Sanem. Okay, so now communication solutions for government, technology, juggernaut, Zohar Zissapal. All right. It's all there. Watching it, one of my favourite videos I did was Phil Girardi talking about on Press TV, US spying. Incredible. Press TV used to do some good stuff. Now they're just a bunch of wussy la-las. Sibel Edmonds, excellent, though she doesn't talk about it anymore. Kill the Messenger. Get that video, and then I did this little post. Why do we want to know your favourite colour? Facebook, Mossad, Amdocs, Guardian, PTech, Road Group. Because we like you. It's APAC with a gun to the head. So this is why Israel is so powerful. So when you keep crying, war in Syria, why? This is why. They're controlling everything. The drugs, the prostitution, bribery, blackmail. They target people via their domination of databases and the kill switch. Okay? Alright. That's how they do it. So stop going. How do they do it? Well, they do it because the kill switch. Look, they've even got their little bunny. Little Pamela Anderson's visiting Julian. I wonder if Pamela Anderson can get out there and say Operation Talpiot. So Pamela wants to save the world and she's in love with Julian because Julian's saving the world. Oh, how sweet. Well, Pam, old love. She's a bit of a Jungian too. She knows her Jung quotes. Pam can now talk about Operation Talpiot. Seeing as your little lover won't talk about it, maybe you can. That would be nice. I do understand Julian wants to get out, but come on, Julian. You might as well finish it off. Operation Talpiot. So everyone get on to him. Get on to what really happened. Mike Rivera, he used to talk about it. Doesn't talk about it no more. Christopher Boleyn used to talk about it. Doesn't talk about it no more. War is coming. I said it, 2 weeks ago? War's not over in Syria yet. Everyone was telling you it was all over and Putin was there. Putin and Bibi are like this, ladies and gentlemen. Russian Jews are the worst Jews of all in Israel, occupy Palestine. You know that Russia is stealing the technology back out of Israel? So Israel, through Operation Talpiot, gets the technology, and the people that dominate the high technology sector in Israel, occupy Palestine, are Russian Jews. They then take that all back to Russia. That's why there is an argument that I'm sorry to break this to you, but there is an argument that Russia's got a hold over Trump. That is an argument. Look, Trump is a pedophile, okay? Get used to it. He's a coke-addicted pedophile. He's Jeffrey Epstein's best mate. No one's talking about it. That's the reason he didn't go after the Clintons on Mina and Jeffrey Epstein, because he's best mates with Jeffrey Epstein. Up to 2005. Hey, I love Jeffrey. He's a great guy. We hang out. We both love young women. He's creepy. Donald Trump is creepy, all right? He's creepy. All the signs are there. He's compromised and grabbing pussy. You know that where they record him? He's off his head on coke. Or he's compromised. Sorry to break it to you. And have a look what's happened. The Jewish neocons are moving in. You know, here, Trump allowing Jewish neocons into power. That was where Dr. Steve Pieczenik is going off to that dick Alex Jones saying, I don't care about Obama. Stop talking about Obama. Stop talking about Hillary. Who cares? The Jewish neocons are moving in, Alex. And Alex is... Watch that video. All right, Trump's gone. All right, he's compromised. He's BB's bitch. War's coming. Now, is there going to be war with Russia? No, there's not going to be war with Russia. Give it a rest. The worst that's going to happen is tactical nukes on Iran. Bad enough. But that's the worst that's going to happen. And Iran's probably going to pull its head in. They mean business. All right? You cannot trust Putin. I'm sorry to break it to you. Sorry to break it to you. If Putin wanted to get Israel under control, he could do it in 5 seconds. Remember when Sevaploka on Ynet News? I can't remember. Let's just spell his last name. Jewish mass murder. And he says the worst mass murder of Stalin's Jews. Here it is here. Ynet News. Stalin's Jews, some of the greatest mass murderers in history. And good old Jewish commentator Sevaploka, this was in, when was this? 06. And talking about the Russian revolutions and the greatest mass murderers of all time being Jewish, and it's not being talked about. And he ends with, even if we deny it, we cannot escape the Jewishness of our hangman, who served the Red Terror with loyalty and dedication from its establishment. After all, others will always remind us of their origin. So what he's saying is we better admit it before our enemies do, because the Moscow archives are open. And Putin has them by the balls. The Moscow archives have divulged everything. Stalin was Jewish. He was surrounded by Jews. They were all Jews. The whole thing was a Jewish operation from the beginning. 200 years together, you can go to Moscow and they talk openly about this in no secret. And I mean, Putin could just make mincemeat of Israel, but he doesn't, because he doesn't want to. He likes Israel. He wants Israel right where it is. What he doesn't want is an expanding Persian empire on its southern border with Shia revolutionaries run around in Afghanistan, Turkmenistan. Okay, he wants Iran back in its box, under sanctions. It doesn't want Iran pumping billions of barrels of oil and lowering the oil price. It just wants a status quo. And watch, Russia's not going to do anything except sell weapons and make money. That's all it's going to do. It's going to be no war with Russia. There's going to be no war with China. It's just Iran. Iran is about to get squeezed. It's going to be left out to dry. So God willing, the Rafsanjani crowd, the billion, I mean, for God's sake, they have a revolution, and the main revolutionary, Rafsanjani, with the Ayatollah, is a multi-billionaire. He owns most of Iran. He's just dead. Think about that. In fact, I was at the head of his funeral procession. But who would know that? Where is it? I actually did a little report. That was part of my training for Press TV. They had me out doing a report. Anyway, I'm not signed in. I haven't put it up. It's there, but I've made it private. So we can only hope that Ahmadinejad gets back in, and maybe the conservative hardliners might do something about Israel, because clearly Rafsanjani and the Rouhani crowd are not doing anything. Anyway, I'm going to wind this up. So when you're crying, oh, Syria, what are we going to do? What's going to happen? You know, Syria girl, partisan girl, Syria girl, you're a very attractive lady. You get a lot of hits. You get a lot of tweets. Start talking about Operation Talpiot. I mean, she's got a vested interest in Syria. Her family's still in Syria. She's worried about her family. Well, if you're worried about them, start talking about Operation Talpiot. Okay, Operation Talpiot, Syria girl. We're going to have a chat soon, I hope, and we can start talking about this subject. Cynthia McKinney invited me to Bangladesh, where she is. I haven't heard anything more about it. Keep saying she's going to interview me. Don't see it happening, because no one interviews me, because I'm just a dick. So there you go. I told you Syria wasn't over. I told you it's going to carry on. Operation Talpiot, Operation Talpiot, Operation Talpiot. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy the tactical nukes in Iran, because that's what's coming next.